thrust over drag concept with this little airplane right here. And as a pilot, we know this principle very, very well, and this principle can help you succeed a lot more. Let's talk about it. Hey, it's Gary. If you're watching this live, give me a 1 in the comments. I'd love to recognize you. If you're watching this on a replay, give me a 3 in the comments, and I would love to recognize you. You might want to share this with your friends and colleagues. If you're watching this on YouTube, because we have been hacked on YouTube and other things, we'd appreciate a subscribe. Anyway, that's it. So let's talk about this thrust over drag concept. We'll pop on over here. So let's understand this thrust over drag. So what does this mean? Let me switch cameras. There we go. Okay, thrust over drag. Ooh, it's a little dark. Bear with me on that. It is what it is. All right, so an airplane by itself, you by yourself, forgive me, but it's called drag. Yep, I'm drag, you're drag, this airplane is drag. So if we get up in the morning and we're dragging, how does this jet like you get moving and get from point A to point B? It has to have thrust. That's the engine. So when the thrust is greater than the drag, boom, you have movement. When your motivation and your desire, your values and beliefs are greater than just sitting in bed, you get up for whatever reason, whether it's because you gotta pee or get to work or take care of the kids or, create the life that you've always wanted to keep creating. Whatever it is, it has to be greater than your drag. And if it's not greater than your drag, what happens? You don't go anywhere. Or you could get going, and if you lose your drag, right, or get less drag, you go faster. If you lose your thrust, you go slower, and you could even crash. So let's talk about this. So then, we have to first admit, because you can't change what you don't acknowledge, we have to first admit that we all have drag. I'm on a dating site once in a while, and I see somebody, I see this often, I see somebody says, looking for no drama, no baggage. Everybody has baggage. Some have Louis Vuitton, some have Samsonite, all right, but we all have some baggage. So the baggage is the drag. So here we are. Let's talk about what the drag is. All right. What is the drag that we all have in life that you can't get away from? Most of it is from our childhood. All right. You've got drag from your childhood. You have drag from your past. All right. Past. I am looking for more pens. So you have drag from your past. So what I'd like you to do is figure out, number one, what is your specific drags? I know what some of mine are, right? I used to be in a cult. I left the cult. Once you leave that cult, all your so-called friends and family shun you for life. My wife tells me we had a baby. Of course, I see that. Then later on, she tells me it's not mine. That is past trauma. But here's also what's interesting. This jet can be taking off in the cold weather, no ice on it, and then it starts taking off and it's using, let's say it uses 100% power. Then it starts getting ice, which causes more what? More drag. And if you don't take care of some of the things that are stuck in your emotional hard drive from your past, it builds up and creates more ice, if you will, and more drag and more drag and more drag, and eventually you're going to crash. So we have certain systems in the airplane that we call either de-ice or anti-ice. Anti-ice is what we do to prevent from having ice or drag on the aircraft. De-ice is a system that we have to remove the ice that's already there. So my question to you is, what do you have for anti-ice on your drag, and what do you have for de-ice? So your anti-ice is, do you have preventative things that you do to anti or to prevent your drag from affecting your success? So what is that? Could be therapy, could be cold plunging, could be meditation, could be just going out for a walk. It's probably not alcohol and drugs, okay? So that's what we do to induce and make things worse many times. Now, once you've learned to manage the things that are stuck in your emotional hard drive, there's a couple other things that we have to do now. We've got to figure out, can we have or find out a way to get more thrust over the drag? All right, so when you can get more thrust than you have drag, and remember, we all have what? We all have drag. So your goal is to get remember, there's two things, and two things only, that cause you to have the desire and motivation to succeed anything. It is value and belief. So your drag is fighting against your what? Your drag is fighting against your value and belief system. So then, if you have a strong value and belief in succeeding at whatever level you want to succeed at, you will then outweigh or have more thrust over your drag, and you'll keep going forward. But here's the challenge. Often on a day-to-day basis, you have external stimuli and other things from your past, from your childhood, which cause you, if you're not careful, to decrease your value and or belief. So now your thrust starts to go down, and your drag starts to come into play a lot more. So ultimately, I believe the number one thing that you have to learn to master in order to have way more thrust over your drag is the ability to do this one thing. And what is it? It is the ability to master your what? Your emotions. To master your emotions. That will be the number one way for you to have more thrust over drag. All right, so there you have it. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. And if you have, do me a favor and give me a, put no drag in the comment. No drag. All right. Was it no drag? I wanted you to make a comment. I'm reading it right now. Let's see what it is. It is no drag here. That's what I want you to write down. So in the comments, and you already see it written in the statement there under the topic, comment no drag here. Now, ultimately, remember, we all have drag, but you have to figure out what is the drag that you're aware of. I see so many people that are just going through life without understanding what the thrust is. Remember what the thrust is. Thrust is value and belief. What is the drag? You are the drag, and all the things in your past. And if you don't get that drag off of you, you can only go so far at a certain amount of speed before your thrust wears out. And there's things that you have to do to keep some of that drag off of you, and it's something that needs to be intentional. And when you make it intentional and follow through on removing some of that drag, man, you fly through the sky and you will attain more in your life, in your personal life, and also in your professional life. I'm out of here. Between now and the next time we get to chat, you know what to do. And if you don't, you will now. Don't let others rent space in your head. Have an